Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Welcome to a Yarn and Yarns extra video. I'm hoping this will become a fluff to finished object video. I've started a new spinning project yesterday. It is Monday the 11th of January as I'm recording this. I'm not sure yet when my finished object will emerge, so it could be months before this video actually sees the light of day. But it occurred to me it might be a little bit of fun just to take you from the beginning to the end of a spin to knit project. I'm hoping to make a gift to send to my brother and his girlfriend who are expecting a baby girl who is due to arrive in May this year. This one kind of came about a little bit organically. I don't know if that's the word, but it was a one thing leads to another kind of project. So let me explain. I've been working on this habitation throw from some beautiful naturally dyed mini skeins from my lovely friend Fee of Flourish Fibres. And as I've been knitting this, I was thinking, oh, wouldn't this make a lovely baby blanket? Just the colours and the size I think would be perfect. But I'm a little bit too selfish to give this away because Fee very kindly gifted me this advent calendar and that was just such a special gift, and I know this is going to bring me a lot of comfort and a lot of joy. I think more than the fact that it's a blanket, I think it was these naturally dyed colours that got me thinking, wouldn't this be kind of a perfect baby gift? Over the weekend I wanted to start a new spinning project. I have got some spinning plans for the year, but I haven't yet gathered the things that I need in order to start making progress on the things that I know that I want to do, if that makes sense. But I do have quite a lot of fibre in my stash. You can see some of it piled up behind me. So I thought, you know what, while I am still messing around, trying to gather my things and make a plan for my spinning for the year, I'm just going to throw a fun braid on the e-spinner that I don't have any sort of project plans for. For the last 12 months or so, I have been part of the Nellie and Eve Fibre Club. So the lovely Nellie and Eve are a company based here in Wales, and the dyer behind Nellie and Eve is Helen. And every month Helen sends out about 100 grams of plant dyed fibre, and she sends a beautiful little postcard with a little message on the back explaining her inspiration behind that particular month's colour. I've received lots of beautiful braids, and as you often do when you sign up for these things, you think, oh, one braid a month, I'll spin that, no problem. And then before you know it, 10 months has gone by and you've got 10 braids sat in the corner of your room waiting to be spun. And of course, with any sort of mystery club, there's an element of you're going to get some braids some months that really speak to you in terms of colour choices, and others that maybe aren't quite your thing. So as I was trying to find something to spin, I thought, you know what, rather than pick a colour that really speaks to me, I'll pick something that maybe I'm not quite as excited for, because I don't have a plan for this. I just want to spin for fun. I want to spin something. So I picked up what was the April 2020 club colourway called Apple Blossom. So those are the little labels that you get. This was the Apple Blossom colourway, and it was two separate colours of BFL twined together. So this lovely, it's like a greeny yellowy tone to it. The light's a bit rubbish today, you know, it's a grey day in South Wales in January. Neutral kind of shade, and as I say, there was this lovely sort of corally pink, and I'm not really, there is not a colour that I don't enjoy, but I don't gravitate towards pinks very often. So as luck would have it, I sort of grabbed this as one that I didn't have any plans for and started spinning it up. And then as I was spinning, I was thinking about my naturally dyed blanket and how I thought natural dyes would make a nice baby gift. And then I'd subconsciously, or maybe on purpose, I just hadn't clicked, picked this lovely peachy sort of pinky colour. And I thought, you know what, wouldn't that make something lovely for a baby? So yeah, you can see where we're going. I've been doing a lot of waffle to get to this point. So yeah, I started spinning this with no plan, but a plan has now luckily formed. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have two colours, 50 grams of each, so not massive quantities. I wouldn't be able to get a blanket. I'm not sure that I'd want to make a hat. I mean, the BFL is lovely soft yarn, but the baby's due in May, so I'm not sure that a out and out woolly hat. I will make a hat, but I'm thinking something bamboo-y rather than an out and out sort of warm woolly hat. Woolly hats maybe will come later in the year when baby is grown a little bit. So I thought, you know what, why don't I make a toy, like a stuffy? Then I thought about this book that I've had in my book stash for years and I've never knit a single thing out of it. Shameful, isn't it? And it's a book by Rebecca Danger and it's called The Big Book of Knitted Monsters. And as you can see, there's loads of really fun characters on this. And I thought, you know what, I can definitely see a really fun knitted monster out of those two colourways. So that's what I'm aiming for. A couple of patterns in here, as you can see on the front cover, that are already striped. But I really like the shape of this monster here. So let me try and find it in the book to show you. It's almost like a sort of cushion. Like you could definitely give that a good cuddle. So I'm thinking I might just put some stripes into this shape. And make a fun stripy monster. That's the plans. I'd already started spinning before I formulated my plan, but I have started spinning this fibre quite finely, so I will be able to either 2-ply it or 3-ply it to get the sort of weight that I'm going to need. Although for a soft toy it doesn't really matter. Oh, it looks like it's either an Aran or a chunky, but in reality, as long as you make a decent knitted fabric, you could knit a toy any size, couldn't you? It's either just going to work up a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than the pattern if you change your yarn and your needles out. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to spin, and then I might do a little sample of a 2-ply yarn and maybe a little sample of a 3-ply yarn, see what I like the look of for a toy. It's been a few days. It's Sunday the 17th of January here, I think, today. It's a sunny Sunday here in South Wales. We're due for some rain for the next few days, so it's nice to see a bit of winter sun, even if it does play havoc with the light for filming. But I thought I'd check in with my spin. I have actually spun up the first bobbin, so the first colour, the pinky corally colour of the Nellie and Eve Blueface Leicester. I've still got the second half, the sort of taupey oatmeal-y colour in the bag still. I'm going to start prepping that and spinning that today. Usually at this stage with a spin like this, because the colours are completely different, I just get on and ply this up and finish the first half of the yarn. But I'm usually just spinning for the fun of spinning, and yes, I am spinning for the fun of spinning for this project, but as you know, I've picked out a project that I have in mind for the yarn that I'm going to be making. So I'm actually going to be doing some sampling. I'm going to have a play around and see if I think a 2-ply or a 3-ply yarn is nicer with this particular spin. So I don't want to make all of my samples from one half of the fibre, because I'm unsure as to how much yarn I'm going to need for my project. I'm sure it'll be fairly flexible for the project that I have in mind. I think I can just wing it, and as I say, I'm going to sort of stripe the project so I can play around with my quantities to make it work. It's a fantastical creature at the end of the day, so it's not like I'm having to make something to a formula or make it particularly realistic. But I don't want to use like a good chunk of my pink fibre to do all of the sampling. So what I'm thinking is I shall spin up the second half of the fibre, and then I'll use a bit of the pink for, say, the 2-ply sample, and then some of the neutral for the 3-ply sample, or vice versa. I'm going to crack on and start drafting some of this fibre and get on with the second half of the spin. Just popping in for a quick update. It's now the 26th of January and last night I finished spinning the second bobbin, the second lot of singles on my Nelly and Eve spin. I don't think this was the most consistent of spins, but I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine for the project that I have in mind. I really want to, I've got this just next to me, you can see my spinning basket of glory that I showed off in my 2021 spinning plans, and I haven't yet started anything off the cart, and we're nearly at the end of January, so I really want to get to something on the cart, but I need to finish this first because otherwise it won't get done. You know me, I am very easily distracted. So yeah, I need to wind these off and do a little bit of sampling. I'm 95% sure I'm probably going to go with a 2-ply, just because the singles did, although I tried to spin quite finely, I found the fibre quite difficult to draft in places. Nothing like horrendous, it was still lovely to spin, but I just struggled as a inexpert spinner to get the sort of fine consistency that I was hoping for. So I'm fairly sure this will probably end up being a 2-ply yarn rather than a 3-ply, but I still would like to sample just to make sure. So I'm going to wind both of these off into centre pull balls, I think, because if I end up 2-plying, then I'll 2-ply from a centre pull. If I end up chain plying for a 3-ply, then again I can do that from a centre pull ball. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to wind off maybe just 5 grams of fibre from each of these to play around with the 2-ply and 3-ply idea, and go from there. So yeah, that's the plans for today. Quite some time has passed since I last recorded for this vlog, and my washed sample has been dried and waiting to be knit up for ages, but I got somewhat distracted. I've started another spin from my spinning cart on my e-spinner, and other projects have just taken priority. So yeah, but it's high time that I get back to this. I'm feeling inspired. Since I started this spin, a couple of make-alongs have popped up, so I'm feeling inspired to make some progress to kind of join in those make-alongs. The first one is Fluff to Stuff, and there's an Instagram account entirely devoted to this make-along. It's a pretty much year-long make-along run by Mars, Hey Brown Berry, Mina, the knitting expat, and Grace, Babbles Travelling Yarns. The idea behind that make-along is to spin with intention, so spin to make particular projects or to work with your hand-spun yarn. And this project that I started before that make-along was announced is perfect for that, because I am spinning with intention to make a particular thing. Also, Alex of Late Night Knits is having a Fluffy Friends make-along, and I think that's February to March or April. I'll link to Alex's announcement video below here so you can check on all the details. And I'm pushing this one a little bit because Alex's idea is to make something inspired or connected to pets. And I'm making a monster with this, which isn't exactly directly pet related, but yeah, I'm hoping I might be able to push the boundaries a little bit. But I'll check with Alex before I definitely enter into that make-along. So yeah, for today I'm going to knit up my swatch to try and determine whether I definitely want to spin this into a 2-ply or a 3-ply. I don't think, just by eye, there's not actually tons of difference in terms of the thickness between these. I chain plied the sort of more neutral natural colour, and my chain ply tends to be a little bit tighter, so this yarn is a little bit softer, the 2-ply, but I like the roundness of the chain ply. But anyway, I'm going to try and figure out what needle size to use for this. I'm hoping you can see that. I can't see exactly what I'm filming at the moment, so I'm sure there's probably tripod legs and all sorts in the shot, but I might try and zoom in a little bit in editing. But I've got this tool. I haven't got enough yarn to actually use the sort of inch notch on this tool, so I'm just going to be laying over my yarn on the sort of guide here. It might be a little bit too faint to pick up on the screen, but there are basically little lines sort of etched into this tool, and you just kind of line your yarn up to figure out what sort of thickness it is. So this is definitely somewhere in the region of 10-11 wraps per inch, which would make it an Aran weight sort of equivalent. That's the natural. And let me grab some of the 2-ply. I think the 2-ply is slightly finer. I'd say that's more like 12 wraps per inch, which makes that more like a DK. So I might actually knit both of these because they're fairly similar. I might start with a 4.5mm needle, ready to cast on with my little sample. And as I was winding, I had second thoughts about what I said in the previous clip about my needle size. Because, of course, I want to make a stuffed toy, so I don't want my fabric to be too loosey-goosey. So actually, I think I'm going to go down needle size. So for the bit that's kind of a slightly thicker DK, I think I'm going to size down to a 3.5 to cast on with and see what that looks like. And then for the sort of slightly thicker one at the back, I might do a 4 or a 4.5. I think I'm going to play around as I go and figure out. I want obviously quite a nice dense fabric so that stuffing doesn't show through. I thought I'd pop in with an update on my project. It's the 9th of February. I'm all bundled up because it is freezing here. We've had our heating on for a good portion of the day as well. It's really chilly. My swatch is done. So yeah, that's pretty exciting, or at least it is for me. I ended up switching between a few different needle sizes as I knit this up. I started with a 3.5mm needle down to a 3 and then even a 2.5 as we got towards the colour change there. And I like how this yarn has knit up, but it's still, even at the smaller needle size, it's still a little bit more open than I would like for a knitted toy. So I think in the end, I'm actually going to go with the 3-ply. I've surprised myself by really. I knit the 3-ply sample mostly on a 3.5mm needle. And I did a couple of rows at the top on a 4mm needle, but actually I like the density of the 3.5. So yeah, it's really interesting how the sort of thickness of the handspun didn't necessarily translate into needle size as a commercial yarn would. For what was sort of thickness wise an Aran weight yarn, I wouldn't really expect to knit that on a 3.5mm needle. I would find that sort of too dense and too harsh, but I guess this yarn was more like a DK perhaps, or worsted. So yes, I've made my decision. I am going to chain ply my 2 lots of singles in both of these colours. My yarn is finished for the Nelly and Eve naturally dyed spin. It's been washed and it's now dried and it is ready to knit with, so I'll be able to cast on with this soon. It's quite a nice plump round 3-ply. It's a little bit over twisted, like overspun. It's not as soft as I would have liked it, but given how my swatch knit up, I think it might be quite nice to have a little bit more of a sturdy nature for the fact that I want to use this in a soft toy. Hopefully it will give a nice kind of firm fabric for the stuffing to not show through. So yeah, next step is to wind these up and get my project cast on. I'm looking forward to seeing how this stripy monster actually turns out. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite nice. I've just wound those up together so you can have an idea of what those colours are going to look like when they're sort of striped together. I think it will be quite fun. So yeah, I need to wind these up and get them on the needles. Quick check-in for my knit project for the Nelly and Eve spin. I have got myself a pile of body parts. So I cast this on last weekend. It's been a really slow knit week here. Lost my knitting mojo somewhat this week. I'm not sure where it disappeared to. But last weekend I pretty much finished this body. And this week, almost the only thing I've knit for the whole week are 2 arms, 2 ears and the eye patch, which is just nothing compared to what my usual knitting output is, but hey, that's okay. Some weeks, days, months are like that. I wouldn't usually bother to block a toy, but I think because this is my hand spun and it's a little bit uneven anyway, I'm just going to give it the sort of maximum chance possible to settle down a bit. So I'm actually going to block this. If I'd have followed the pattern to letter, I should have done a 3 needle bind off on the top here, and then the stuffing happens through the bottom. But I think it will be a little bit neater, just for the way that I tend to work if I keep these stitches live and do a grafting closure on the top, and that means that this bottom seam I can turn the body inside out and sew it from the inside. So that's why I've still got these hanging out on the cord here. But yeah, I'm just going to give these pieces, put them all in the sink, give them a little bit of a bath, and then wait a couple of days for this to dry out before I finish it. It's high time to get this project finished and this vlog wrapped up. This has taken me quite a bit longer than I was expecting, not from actual time spent, but just time that's passed. I've had a difficult couple of mental health weeks, and I haven't really been feeling motivated or enthusiastic to create anything. So knitted body parts have been hanging around for a good couple of weeks now. So yeah, high time that I get this monster made and hopefully have a lovely finished object and a nice end to this vlog. So let the stuffing commence. All of my body parts are stuffed. What a weird thing to say. And I've sewn on a large sort of French knot for an eye. In the original pattern, just as a reminder, I'm making Dot the dress up monster from Rebecca Danger's Knitted Monsters book. And they use safety eyes in the pattern. Which I'm not going to do. This is going to a newborn baby. Whether it'll actually be played with, I don't know, but I just want to be on the safe side. So I've put a French knot in the eye patch, and I've sewn one directly onto the stuffy. I just wanted to pop in though because I'm just about to close the top of the head and so on the other body parts, and I've spent ages like faffing around with the stuffing, trying to get a nice shape. I don't know if any of you out there make stuffies regularly, but I feel like you can keep going and put so much stuffing in these, and they need to be pretty firm, but yeah, you could probably spend a day just squishing and sculpting and moulding, and at some point you've got to stop and just get it finished. Final check-in for this vlog, because I have finished my monster. So ta-da! Here is Dot doing her I am finished happy dance. So this is Dot, the dress up box monster from the Rebecca Danger Knitted Monsters book, and I hope you have enjoyed following along this journey with me. I have had great fun making this project, and I've learned so much along the way about making a yarn for a specific project. I have actually learnt to enjoy sampling with my hand spun. Who knew that that would be a thing that I enjoyed doing, given my lack of enthusiasm for gauge swatching. I pretty much followed the pattern as was written. The only thing I altered was in the pattern you 3 needle bind off the top of the head and then stuff the creature from the bottom. I left my stitches live. I stuffed from the top and then grafted the top seam closed, and I also chose not to add safety eyes. I have just put a couple of large French knots. I used a little scrap of hand spun for this, and I held the yarn, I think I held 4 lengths of the yarn to make a nice big sort of knot that would stand up against the sort of proportions of the monster. And I also used the same hand spun, just one single strand, to make the belly button cross at the bottom there. But yeah, apart from that, everything to pattern. So I guess the only thing left is for me to sign off. As I say, I hope you have enjoyed following along this adventure half as much as I've enjoyed making this project. And if you have enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of these fluff to finished object videos in the future, then please do let me know, because I have really enjoyed the process of making this and will be happy to make more in the coming weeks and months if you have an interest in me sharing that. I hope you will join me again for the next video, which I'm sure will be coming up soon. But until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs from me and from Dot. Bye for now.